give some tips or guidance to our fellow mates.
Okay, so I think Pradeep, first of all, Dr. Pradeep, first of all, congratulations for a very, very inspiring talk. I think that really set the tone for today's session. And yes, I would very heartily welcome Mr. Hitesh Hiren, whom I have known for a very, very long time and is very dear to me, both as a former student of mine and, of course, he is one individual whose talent I have immense respect. So thank you, Hitesh, once again for being a part of this session. We couldn't have found a better person on the jury than you, because I think you are, the comments that you have been giving our students have been very, very positive, and they have been very objective. So thanks for being a part of this. And my compliments to all of you, my dear students, for becoming a part of MakeAthon. You know, it takes a lot of courage to be a part of an activity of this kind. It is not for the weak-hearted. Yeah, so I'm extremely proud of all of you, those of you who are over here and who probably had made presentations earlier, but did not clear the earlier rounds, and all those of you who are going to be making your presentations today. As I said, it requires a lot of courage. And I think more than courage, it also requires a lot of conviction about the idea that you are going to present. And I'm looking forward to listening to your convictions and probably witnessing your courage as well. What Pradeep sir has said is, in many words, very, very true to not only for the current generation, but even for the previous generation. Now, when I look back on my batchmates who studied with me, you know, centuries ago, many of them, I would say that probably almost 60% of them ended up being entrepreneurs, which is a sizable number, which is a very good number. And they probably did not become entrepreneurs as soon as they left that campus. For example, even Hitesh sir was not an entrepreneur as soon as he left the campus. He was working for Larsen and Toubro. But a couple of years down the line, when they had, when they identified, now at what point did this happen? Because when you start identifying opportunities where you can grow, where you can create products, or where you can offer services, identifying those opportunities is the key. So the moment you identify opportunities and you realize that there is a market for the kind of skill that you can bring to the table, or the kind of product that you can bring to the table, I think that's the time when you start taking a decision to keep aside a cushy job and become a full-time entrepreneur. And I think many of you are already at a point where you have identified a market requirement. You have identified a gap in the services which are being provided. And that is why you have taken up a problem and you are going ahead with it today. As Pradeep sir has said, very rightly, do not limit your ideation and your thinking to just this particular event. It is important for you to carry that conviction forward, because if you don't, nobody else will. You are the one who thought of the idea, you were the one who worked on the idea, and therefore I think it is imperative that you take that forward. And I would want each one of you to really have the conviction to take it forward. It is not an easy path. But I think the joy of being an entrepreneur, the joy of being able to provide jobs for people who really require it, the joy of being able to provide a customer with a product or a service that he or she truly desires and deserves, I think that joy is something entirely different. So having said that, I also want to tell all of you, probably you were those of you who are in the final year were already in your second year when we had the first MakeAthon, and it had a carnival spirit. You know, there was so much of excitement because products were being displayed, and there were almost, you know, in the first edition itself, we had about 30 teams which participated. We had people who were so impressed by the array of products that were displayed by the students. That, of course, has its own charm, especially when you are creating, you have created something, you are exhibiting it, you are getting people to come and take a look at it and give your ideas. That has its own charm, and that I feel has been missing in the MakeAthon. But I mean, this is because of things which are completely beyond our control. But nevertheless, I think that in spite of the absence of that kind of an environment and that kind of carnival spirit, I'm sure that the spirit of entrepreneurship is still strong in all of you who are out over here. And, talking about entrepreneurship, very often people say, and I have heard people say this at on many occasions, that probably as important as becoming an entrepreneur is also about having an entrepreneurial habit, creating an entrepreneurial habit. That means you are constantly, even if you are not an entrepreneur, when you walk into an industry, you're constantly on the lookout for, what is good? Where are the opportunities? Can I see and can I identify an opportunity? Is there a gap in the kind of service we are providing? Is there a gap for a new product to be introduced? I think that is all about becoming entrepreneurial. And if you are entrepreneurial in nature and you make that as a way of life, I think the sky is the limit in terms of the kind of successes you can have. Because in many organizations are also promoting intrapreneurship. That means they are trying to get their own people to ideate and create products and processes which can benefit the organization. So you may not want to start something on your own, probably. If you start, that is a most wonderful thing that can happen. You may not want to start it, but I think this spirit of questioning, ideating, looking for problems more than looking for solutions is what is required. And I think you people are all on your way to being out there. So today we are all going to sit back and enjoy both your entrepreneurship as well as your entrepreneurial habit or your entrepreneurial way of looking at things. And I wish all the teams the very best. Once again, let me tell you, I'm extremely proud of all of you for having taken up the challenge and for being over here. So I wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much, Prasanna ma'am. Listening to you is always motivational, and it brings sparks in us. It's really great to see our college principal is helping, like motivating us to get into startup and make something of our own, which we don't see in India. Usually we go for the herd mentality of getting a job in big MNCs and things like that. We are very glad to have you, ma'am. So moving ahead, we have our special guest, Hitesh sir,